Let's now get you straight to New York from the Big Apple. My colleague Niranjan Narayanswamy has been getting us the latest. My colleague Shravan Sen also continues to be with us. Niranjan, as we build up, just about 5 hours to go now, and it is really this moment that all of it has been building up to, isn't it? From Howdy Modi to the bilateral with USA, other engagements, the SAARC summit meet yesterday, all of it has been building up to what the Prime Minister will say, and you've been bringing us some scoop on what are the key issues that the Prime Minister could mention later tonight.
First of all, to you, Shivani, and also to Shravan, good morning from New York. It's 5 a.m. It's very early, of course. So you'll see a lot of taxis because a lot of movement around the United Nations headquarters, which is about 4 blocks behind me. And it's really early. Usually we come live. For the last 6 days we've been coming live from this spot. We start here because our, this is where we stay, and we start here every morning, and then we walk all the way up to the United Nations headquarters because you walk 2 lanes down and the roads are blocked. And we start here. I usually pick up a cup of coffee here. It's too early. Even the cafe is shut this morning. And this guy, the cart, the roadside cart guy is also not here. It's very, very early here in New York. But let me tell you, down to business, it all comes down to this, isn't it, Shivani? From Howdy Modi to Howdy UN, it's going to be fantastic as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. He started with the Howdy Modi speech at the NRG Stadium in Houston, and he will be ending his visit at the United Nations General Assembly. It's going to be a power-packed speech. We've been speaking to different people over the course of the last 10 days that we've been here, and I can tell you that everybody is looking forward to this speech for several reasons. Not just because it will be the Prime Minister speaking, at the United Nations General Assembly. He's back from a resounding mandate. Everybody talks about that. Your Prime Minister got a resounding mandate. He's back in office, and he's going to send a message. And we don't know what that message is going to be because there is also a view and a perspective that you can't really talk about the same things. You can't talk about, give the same UNGA speech like we did 5 years ago when he first took office. Now, there is a growing view that we need to change the narrative, and of course the Prime Minister has tried to do that deliberately. Talking about climate change, his first engagement here at the United Nations was the climate summit, where he spoke about several issues that India is tackling head on. The small steps that he's taken, of course, Swachh Bharat was in his previous regime and it continues. Yes, that was a step that he took 5 years ago. He talks about climate change and single-use plastic, how we need to fight that. Now, these are small steps that are resonating. Let me tell you, irrespective of what people think about it, small steps that are being taken by India are being recognized, globally, because it's not easy to bring about radical change, in one shot as far as India is concerned. So these small steps are resonating. He's spoken about climate change, and we've had several engagements on top of the United Nations headquarters. We've sent out a message by putting out a solar panel park there, which is India's contribution to sustainable development, talking about our mission and our objective to promote clean energy, to use clean energy. It's not going to be a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year program. It's going to be a decade-long progress to move towards clean energy and reduce the use of coal. But of course, you can't stop using coal now. These are small things that India is trying to talk about, because as far as climate change is concerned, India is now trying to send the message that we are a serious player. That is one issue. Let's keep that aside. The second issue, let's come to the issue of tackling terror, because we have been direct victims of terror starting from 2014 when the Prime Minister came to office. There have been several attacks which Pakistan has aided, abetted. Pathankot to Pulwama. Now, all of these attacks have also resonated when the Prime Minister spoke at Houston. Now, he made a mention of it, and before even the Prime Minister came on stage, Donald Trump spoke about how both countries needed to work together, especially on the issues of counterterrorism, and he spoke about fighting radical Islamic terrorism. Now, we don't use those terms in India. We simply say fight Pakistan and Pakistan's terror exporting factory. Now, these are some of the issues that India will be bringing to the table. Of course, you had that embarrassment of Pakistani foreign minister yesterday. By the way, we were walking down, Westin, we were at a venue. We were there to meet the United Nations Women's Chief, Shivani, and I can tell you, right next to the building where I was supposed to meet her and interview her, we saw these two trucks, and these two trucks were parked right outside a hotel called the Westin Hotel, where the Pakistani foreign minister was supposed to exit. You won't believe it, Shivani. The foreign minister of Pakistan did not even exit the office because there were trucks right outside sending a message to Imran Khan government talking about human rights violations in Pakistan. Now, he took the back gate and he left from the back gate. All the media contingent was waiting right outside that hotel. Now, that's the kind of panic that hits Pakistan. Wherever they go in the world, panic has hit them. And I can tell you that here in New York, for the last 4 or 5 days that we have been here, trucks, posters, banners, billboards, digital billboards at Times Square. Now, all of these are the welcome party for Imran Khan, and it's another diplomatic disaster. So we are all looking forward to that speech, Shivani, and I can tell you it's going to be one blockbuster speech. And everybody, including Imran Khan, knows that it's going to be a blockbuster speech because he will be inside the UN and he will be listening to what the Prime Minister says because he's two speakers after the Prime Minister, so he has no choice. He's got to sit inside the United Nations General Assembly and listen to what the Prime Minister says. And of course, he will be responding. We don't know whether he will respond to them, but he will, of course, we know what Pakistan is going to talk about. It's the same script that he will rattle out. It's the exact same points. Nothing has changed as far as Pakistan is concerned. They will try to beat the drum of human rights. Sadly, the biggest violators and perpetrators of human rights is a country called Pakistan. So, Shivani, we're all building up to that speech, right. And I can tell you that even Imran Khan is looking forward to the Prime Minister's speech because yesterday there was a press release also issued when he spoke to the media saying that there is a lot of anticipation around my speech. Can you imagine Imran Khan saying that there is a lot of anticipation around his speech? For God's sake, he knows that it's going to be one big embarrassment inside the United Nations Assembly where India will lay the facts on the table. Of course, it's not India's agenda at the UN because we're a developing country and we're right up there with the global superpowers. So we are not going to just talk about Pakistan. There are going to be 100 things that we talk about. Pakistan is just one of them. The reason why we will even do that is to expose a country called Pakistan and the terror that it exports.
Yes. Shravan, as we continue to speak to Niranjan, it is important to note some of the sequence of events, Niranjan, that have happened in the run-up to when the Prime Minister takes stage. One is, of course, the Pakistan's attempt to deliberately try to raid Kashmir, and by their own admission, Shravan, Imran Khan has accepted that everybody is with India and nobody is with them. But on the other hand, it is important for India to de-hyphenate. It is not just about Pakistan for us. It is about our spot in the global union of countries, and that is what the UN is all about, isn't it, Shravan? So we've been wanting to talk about the UNSC, we've been wanting to talk about the NSG. These are larger, bigger issues for us. Pakistan is a small country, myopic viewpoint. We have to look towards the future and actually be a leader at it.
Well, if you just go by conservative estimate, Shivani, you're looking at 75 meetings that Prime Minister, the External Affairs Minister and the MOS External Affairs, they've had over the last couple of days. That in itself gives you an idea, perhaps, what has been on India's mind. Unlike Pakistan, who's been only rattling about Kashmir, India has set the global agenda where they're talking about climate change. They're talking about what exactly can India do when it comes to climate change. That in itself gives you a reflection of the mindset, perhaps. If I can go across to Niranjan also on this important point, that when it comes to today's speech, Niranjan, it's absolutely clear. India had made it clear, even the Foreign Secretary had said that when it comes to the speech isn't going to be about Article 370. This is exactly perhaps what Pakistan has been expecting. In fact, Imran Khan has already given up, saying that he's disappointed. He does not expect much happening as far as Kashmir is concerned.
Well, absolutely, and I can tell you that as far as Article 370 is concerned, the kind of reception that the Prime Minister has got here, Shravan, when he spoke at that NRG Stadium, it started with that, and at every stage, when we've spoken, well, you should have seen the standing ovation that he got for Article 370. Well, everybody that we speak to, the Indian American community, diplomats, and people from think tanks, now those who know India, US, and also the ties with Pakistan and South Asia, Now, that's one thing that they talk about, Article 370. They say that, you know, they really admire the way in which India has been so decisive with this issue, and they also tell you that and that is people who are in the know. They talk about how it's an internal issue and nobody can really do anything about it because it's done and dusted, it's over. And even when the Prime Minister spoke, you know, when he was sitting with Donald Trump and they had that bilateral meeting, several times the US president was asked that question on Pakistan and on terror and also on Kashmir. He kept saying that Modi knows how to handle this issue. He's the best man to handle this issue. So even the US, like most countries, like 95% of the countries, has stood behind India as far as Article 370 is concerned. A very strong stand taken by the US, saying that we will not interfere and that the government of India is the best suited to handle the situation. Yes, like you said, Article 370, we will lay the facts on the table. We will talk about how the one move to abrogate Article 370 will give more opportunities to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, will give more rights to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, will give more rights to the people of Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, and this is something that we expect the Prime Minister to touch upon in his speech, and he will talk about more job opportunities, more development that is now going to take place, which of course the process has already begun. Now let's talk about it. Human rights in Kashmir, yes, they will get more human rights. Development, yes, there will be more jobs. And of course, more rights for other people of the region, including the people of Ladakh, who will have their say as well, and their elected representatives who can of course, take them forward in the scheme of things. Shawan.
All right, Niranjan, continue to be with us. We're getting you the first live report from at the UN headquarters. My colleague Niranjan continues to be with us, and this is really going to be a one-stop destination for everything you need to know from New York as we build up to the Prime Minister's speech at the UNGA. Now, in the last few years, Shawan and Niranjan, one thing you cannot take away from Narendra Modi is the fact that he's presented India in a new light on the global stage, and he's also been more forceful, more forthright about India's deserving spot as far as the world order is concerned. And let's go across to New York now to Niranjan, because Niranjan, it seems that's exactly what the Prime Minister would like to further and emphasize, especially when we talk in context of the NSG and also the UNSC permanent seat.
Well, that's correct. If I can take a moment, away to just sort of tell you that my friend Khalid is here. My friend Khalid has just opened his shop, and he's been here, in the last 5 days. Every morning we just, pick up breakfast from here, and on the go we just move. So now that's what he's got to offer, my friend Khalid. Where are you from, Khalid?
I'm from Afghanistan.
You're from Afghanistan?
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. So I'm from India.
India, nice to meet you.
That's amazing.
We love India.
You love India?
Our neighbors,
Yeah?
Yeah, we always have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, and the Indian Prime Minister is going to speak at the United Nations today.
Oh, very nice. Hopefully things are getting better, all over the world.
Yeah, and how are things in Afghanistan? Afghanistan is a very good friend of India.
Yes, is always, now it's all right. Hopefully things are getting better over there too.
Yeah?
Yeah, we want everything on the whole world. We want everything to be peace,
Yeah.
We just want peace, everywhere.
And for how many years have you been here, Khalid?
I do this like for 13 years.
13 years?
Yeah, 13 years.
And you were born in Afghanistan?
Yes. But I'm living here like in America for 22 years.
23 years?
23,
Wow.
yeah.
So what do you have to offer this morning, Khalid?
Anything you like. Anything. No charge.
Yeah, but you got a cart. You got a good cart, my friend. Every morning we come here and we pick up breakfast.
I can just say some hi to like Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Yes, please go ahead.
I want a special hi to Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan and all stars in India. Yeah, I love them. I always watch Indian movies.
Yeah?
They are good actors, and I'm interested watching all.
What's your favorite movie?
The ladies, I didn't watch anyone, but all the movies that I like.
Yeah?
Since I was kid, I was watching movies, especially Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, all the stars. Yeah, I love India, their stars, songs, especially songs. I was listening this morning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's such a pleasure speaking to you this morning, Khalid. Go ahead, my friend. I think Khalid's got some customers this morning. He hasn't even lit up his cart, but that's what he's got to offer. Some donuts and some bagels and some cupcakes. some muffins, and some croissant. That's enough, isn't it, to get by? That's enough to get by for us. And he gave me my cup of coffee. So that's Khalid. He's from Afghanistan. I didn't know that. In fact, it's the first time that when I spoke to him that he told me that he's from Afghanistan and that he loves India and Indians, and he just spoke to us about the Bollywood movies that he watches. He loves Shah Rukh Khan, Salman Khan, and Bollywood songs that are played in all our movies. But down to some real business. Yes, you did speak about the messaging of the Prime Minister and the different issues and our place in the world. Shivani, one statement that the Prime Minister made, at every stage of that speech at the NRG Stadium, he spoke, the US President and him spoke as equals. He said, along with the US, we will stand shoulder to shoulder and we will fight a decisive battle against terror. Because when we were just coming out of this break, I heard that promo, and I thought to myself that we were there, sitting there and taking down pointers of everything that he said on terror, and he gave us a hint of what he's going to talk about. Now, as far as our place in the global order is concerned, he did speak about the $5 trillion economy. He spoke about how India is still the fastest growing country. He spoke about the steps that the government is taking as far as key schemes are concerned to ensure that we get there to the $5 trillion economy, and yes, and all of these aspects are likely to resonate when he speaks today.
Well, Niranjan, on a lighter note, I'm sure you're going to return with some weight, putting on some weight after those meals that you've been having in New York. But coming back to business, now when it comes to Prime Minister Modi, we've seen this is the first time that he's going to address the UNGA after 2014. And since then, 2015, 2016, 17 and 18, when External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was speaking, she highlighted essentially what Pakistan needs to do, but nothing really happened thereafter. And India has been harping that if at all there can be any talks to Pakistan, then it would be only on Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.